Yeah, man, that was
That would have
that
been
was
good.
decent.
You want to run it back?
No, I wish, man, honestly. Yeah. I crave the spontaneity.
I took a lease out on your heart. I took a lease out on your heart. Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we're on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
It's going pretty good. Still, got a disappointment hangover from the
Mm,
Super Bowl,
that's tough.
Yeah, even when you think you know what's going to happen, uh it was truly surprising that Saquon didn't murder us,
Yeah,
and yet we lived no life.
yeah,
So,
yeah. If you would have told me that he would have had less than 100 total yards or whatever the hell it was, and they would have gotten dominated, I would have not believed you, which is pretty crazy. From a hater's perspective, I enjoyed it. You know, it was one of those things like it was fun and like fun to cackle and laugh at Superman tripping on his cape, But at the same time, I would have preferred probably a better game.
sure
It's like
enough.
that that catch 22 there, but just from a chaotic perspective, it was fun to watch, but and it's lessened my Chiefs I don't know, annoyance, maybe it's the wrong word, but whatever, just for lack of a
It
better
brings
word.
them a little closer to earth, huh?
Yeah, like they're not the gods that nobody can touch now. They're kind of, it's like, okay, you got pantsed. It's all right
Right.
now.
Yep. Yep. Your heyday is come to an end.
Yeah, until
If
they
you,
win next
climb
year.
back up and do it again, we'll have some respect for you, but
Yeah, exactly. The
you're not
redemption
on
arc.
autopilot to the Lombardi trophy like it
Exactly.
was
Yeah.
looking like. So,
So, but I am sorry. That sucks. You never want to
yeah.
watch that. I mean, I don't know what's tougher to handle, I guess, a good game where you lose
That's
heartbreaking
yeah.
fashion at the end or to know it's over by the second quarter. Uh,
Yeah.
both suck. So I don't envy you. I'm sorry.
hmm Yeah, the roller coaster is, I think, worse than just like a full on
Beat
like,
down.
oh well,
Yeah.
this it's not happening.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine that. Yeah.
so oh
Well,
well.
based on that, though, you know what that means. We are moving on. That season, get it out of
Bye
here.
bye.
2024, bye bye completely. I mean, we've already been basically moved on for a few
Yeah,
weeks
for
now,
real. We
but
pull the plug quick.
but uh but we are officially on to 2025, which means we're gonna hit you first with a little free agency preview over the next few weeks. We're gonna preview all the positions, and still hit you with some profiles. We haven't forgot about these rookies, don't worry. But this week we're gonna do a wide receiver special. So only free agency talk about wide receivers, and then we both have two wide receiver inbound rookies that we're going to talk about. So with that being said, you want to kick us off on the free agency frenzy here? You got anybody you want to highlight?
Sure, man. I'm gonna start from the bottom. I gotta say, okay, and this is gonna be weird. This is just a full-on Daniel. It's like a bonus take in the beginning.
Okay.
So that's what you get with me. But I find it weird. Demarcus Robinson
Hmm.
is a free agent, and he's had a lot of good action with the Rams, kind of like on the rise,
Hmm.
kind of after Van Jefferson was out, and then there's been enough injuries where they needed a third guy to step up, and he's really kind of rounded out that offense. And then with the Cooper Cup trade implications,
Hmm.
just feels like he's a guy that could be, had by another team and used right away. I look at like I don't know, Tim Patrick is a free agent. I feel like if you put Demarcus Robinson in on the Lions squad
Hmm.
in that place, he's an immediate upgrade. I think he's got a little bit of potential. He's 30 years old, but I'm still keeping a half an eye. So this is a soft opening to the conversation with Demarcus Robinson. I'm pretty excited. to see where he
Yeah,
lands.
that's pretty interesting. I mean, I hadn't really thought about him. He could end up even staying with the Rams with the
Oh yeah,
fact that
that'd
they
be the
might be
most
moving
likely.
on. Yeah,
Hmm.
with the whole Cooper Cup of it all. But that'll be interesting. He could be one of those guys you could have cheap in a dynasty league too. Probably like a future third would get it done, if that. He's probably on waivers, but that would be interesting, especially if he lands on one of these high-powered offenses like Detroit. And it seems like maybe they don't want to spend a ton of money with all the money that they're spending other places, but that could be interesting. I'll kind of similar, maybe not as sleeper-ish, but I'm interested. Maybe not like, but I'm interested to see what happens with Darius Slayton.
Sure.
He's a free agent, could be the sleeper of this class. He's not really ever had great quarterback play. He is 28, but he's probably cheap both in Dynasty fantasy and in real life. I don't think he'll command as big of a contract as some of these other guys we're going to talk about. But I still think he has some juice left, man. And if he could end up somewhere, I don't know, even like a Dallas or honestly even like a Rams or maybe even like fuck it, Kansas City with their
Sure.
two free agents. Like there's some people that could use him. I mean, I still think he'll be sporadic. He's not the guy anywhere, but he could be a guy in a lot of different places. So I'm intrigued to see what happens with him.
Yeah, he's a nice number two, and we're looking at a lot of squads that are gonna need a number two coming
Hmm.
up. I mean, you say Kansas City, obviously, Hollywood and
Hmm.
Hopkins are both
Yeah.
free agents, and it feels like with Worthy and Rice,
Hmm.
potentially, I guess, who knows how much time Rice is going to miss next season.
Hmm.
But they definitely have to get someone in, but it feels like those two guys aren't going to be it. Like I'd rather have Juju back just because
Mm.
he's reliable. It's
Yeah.
proven that he can contribute in a supplemental role. So, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of scared. Hopkins was okay. He's going to be 33 when the season starts, and
Hmm.
I'm not really seeing him as a guy who I don't know. He doesn't the price is going to command that like 15 million range is what they're projecting. It just doesn't seem like he's going to be worth it. So you're going to have to see like a desperate team kind of go out for him.
Hmm.
Um, I see like the Raiders might be a good spot.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of pad the room with a little bit of talent, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of iffy on the 33-year-old Hopkins deal.
Yeah, I'm not overly intrigued. I think the Chiefs might keep one of those two guys, and to me, Brown seems like the more likely option. Like he was hurt and gone most of the year, but he's been okay in the playoffs, and he's only 27. So I could see him more than Hopkins, and I think you're right. Like whatever team, if Hopkins doesn't come back to Kansas City for cheap and goes somewhere for like 15-ish mil, whatever team that's going to be like one of these teams that always spends money. Like, I mean, the Jags are getting a little better at it, but like how the Jags used to always just spend money, the Browns would spend money. Maybe the Dolphins or something like somebody just that it's just not going to work. I'm not overly intrigued with him as a concept really anymore, which sucks because he used to be such a electric player. But I mean, just 33 is tough to get behind as a wide receiver at any point.
Yeah, at that price point, it's kind of atrocious. I love him replacing Keenan Allen on the Bears, but it feels like you could probably just keep Keenan Allen for cheaper, you know?
Yeah, you would think. Speaking of Keenan Allen, I don't think he stays with the Bears, but somewhere I think he might fit is maybe Buffalo, who might be
Yeah.
losing Amari Cooper. I just think
Hmm.
a consistent presence. I mean, I feel like as much as they want to go with the Josh Allen show, which showed to be really good, having a consistent presence that he can throw the ball to, I think Keenan Allen would make some sense there. I also think the Steelers are a name to watch to just grab one of these vets. As much as I want to see Roman Wilson come in and be that consistent role. And I think they're even like maybe the Cooper Cup of it all because man, he's not a free agent, but he's obviously on the trade block. And I could see maybe that being like a possession guy, the get open possession guy for to complement George Pickens over there. I just think the Steelers are going to grab one of the names of the guys we're going to talk about, and it wouldn't be a Steelers move to go grab like T Higgins or something like that, you
No,
know.
no. I mean, I like that a lot. That would be really nice, actually. Then I think about Amari, and I'm I don't know what Amari's getting passed around right now. He feels like I feel like the Titans would be a great place for him to just kind of like hit that couple years. But I don't know, man. Amari's got so much potential. And he came in the hot for like one game and then just
Hmm.
completely fell off
Yeah.
with Buffalo. So it's gonna be a hard pill to swallow. But I think he's probably not going to be retained there. And like you're saying, they might go for someone a little more
Yeah.
exciting.
I've seen a lot of Amari Cooper to the Niners buzz, which is pretty
Oh,
interesting with Debo on the way out the door. And I think maybe I think some of these
Debo.
guys, you get traded and you're trying to learn a new system and it just doesn't work like you want it to. You want them to just come in and be awesome. But I do
Right.
think at 30 years old, Cooper with a full offseason of a Kyle Shanahan offense, that would be spicy at least.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty nice. I could see that working out pretty decent. Um, but I don't know. It's I'm getting we're running out of names. We're gonna have to get really hot, really fast here.
Yeah.
We'll give AJ obviously couldn't make it this week,
Yeah. Forgot to
but
hit that
he's
up top.
yeah. Hey, they figured it out. But he's all about this Chris Godwin going to the Jags.
Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah, which I guess makes sense, right? It's like
Hmm.
the Cohen of it all. Um,
Yeah, staying in Florida and not having to pay state taxes as well. That would be nice for
mhm.
him.
I'm like,
So,
I don't know. That's kind of a weird. I don't know what to say. Chris Godwin's kind of been disappointing, just like health wise
hmm.
recently. So it's
And
kind of a
you would think he'd be cheaper because of that, but it doesn't seem
no.
everything I'm seeing is saying that he's going to get like damn near top dollar.
Yeah,
Which I mean the Jags can pay it, and it would be nice to have somebody there with Brian Thomas Jr. outside of the Gabe Davis experiment that didn't really work, which I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know who thought that was going to work super well.
Well, if Christian Kirk had been out there, it might have been a little
Been a little
different.
better, yeah. Poor
But
Christian Kirk.
I think that it's kind of a weaker top end class, so that's where Chris Godwin gets that benefit. I mean,
Hmm.
if you look at it, I feel like he's in the top three,
Probably,
uh, and
yeah.
that, and I see I like a distinct top five or six. I put Amari Cooper over Hopkins when I
Hmm.
look at the top five, and Keenan Allen is still in there, just because he's shows that he can go for 120 targets easy. So as long as he's doing that, you're getting your money's worth out of him. But
Yeah.
um, obviously, I think Stephon.
Yeah, let's
I
say hashtag must love Diggs. Can't
yeah,
get out of this conversation without talking about him.
for real. I don't understand he's projected to make way less than some of these other guys, and that's cool. He is 31. He is coming off injury. He clearly has a reputation for maybe not being the best person to have out there when the cards are not in your favor. So but I think, man, I think that he could easily go out there and set himself up to be a successful guy. I don't know. I have no clue who would be going after him or where he would go because he seems like the kind of guy that, wants to win, has to win. So,
I
um,
I kind of like him to Detroit.
oh yeah,
Weirdly, like if he's gonna be cheaper and they're gonna take a risk on him,
dude, that would
um,
be stanky as
I
hell.
think that would be cool. Him and Amon Ra would be nice, or even a lesser extent in the winning aspect. But I think Dallas would be interesting. for
Oh
Stephon.
wow, yeah, good with his brother. I don't know. Is
Yeah,
that
it
a
kind of makes sense to me. He seems like it, like put him in a him with a star on his helmet doesn't seem that crazy.
oh man.
You know.
Man, look at you. You got the crystal ball out. I like that a lot. I like that a ton.
Before we get into who is the clear number one of this class, I did want to
Okay.
throw out some guys that could be on the move who aren't free agents yet.
Okay.
You've got Devonte Adams
Yep.
sitting on a $30 million pay cut, like if he gets cut for the Jets. So that one's just I just feel like that's happening. Like I don't see them keeping him, especially with them telling Aaron Rodgers to kick rocks. Um, and I think he's a pretty interesting name because he was still good last year. Like maybe not to the top tier that he was in the past few seasons, but his game has never really been about his athleticism, so like he can still do it. And there's like Green Bay return rumors, but with him, his making his whole thing about wanting to be close to home, like why not pair him with Justin Herbert and
Okay.
Lad McConkey out there?
Oh shit.
I think that could be a
Uh,
lot of fun.
yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. That would be that'd be next level, man. Ooh, you got me going. I'm trying to think of who to put in Washington.
Yeah, Washington's probably going to make a move.
Yeah, I mean they got so close with with the Olamide and Jamison Crowder and Diami Brown that like
Yeah,
so I mean Diggs would be clearly
Diggs would be good.
that would be crazy with him and Terry. I don't even know. I don't even know. I would be like, I'm sorry, I'm only watching Washington football when it's on. Um, but yeah, no, I like that. You got any other guys that are
Yeah, I mean
premium cut candidates
we
or
talked
whatever trade
about
candidates?
Cooper Cup a little bit. I could honestly see Carolina, I think, is a dark horse to make a move like that. With Bryce Young looking a little spicier towards the end of the year.
That's
Um,
Coker's team, bro.
yeah, that's fair. I also have DK Metcalf. There's been like some rumblings. This feels like a guy that's not going to move,
No way.
but there has been some rumblings about like they could save some money and JSN and da 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 da. So like he's a name to watch, but I don't really think so. But one that does seem like it's going to happen is Debo Samuel.
Yeah.
And I kind of like him to the Broncos.
Holy smokes, dude.
Sean Payton talked about like on the Kay Adams show, I think it was. That they need a joker, not just like a number one wide receiver or whatever. A joker being a guy that can do whatever, like his Taysom Hill or whatever. And to me, that's like red flags for Debo. I looked at this though, and Broncos fans seemed to, I like the sentiment I saw was, well, we've got Marvin Mims, he can do that. And I'm like,
No.
yeah, what? I guess I don't know.
Marvin Mims would have to eat Marvin Mims to become Debo Samuel.
Exactly. And like I'm not necessarily the biggest Debo fan, especially not at this point, but like I think that could make some sense, and maybe not be the most expensive move that the Broncos could make. And like I'm sorry. I know again, I was seeing Broncos fans that were like talking about building this wide receiver room because it has a lot of youth when they have Cortland Sutton and a
Troy Franklin, dude.
27-year-old rookie. So I don't buy that room. So I think Debo to the Broncos could make some sense.
Okay. I like that, man. I keep trying to figure out if Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the Dolphins and then they'll just bring
Okay.
in a veteran wide receiver to make that a
Okay.
super duper room, but I
You out
can't do
on
it.
Tua?
Oh yeah, I mean you have to be. Should
Okay.
get off the pot, man. It's now or never. That division is ripe for a hostile takeover.
For picking? That's
Oh
fair.
yeah. I mean
Well,
it's just the Bills. So all right,
that's
what is
fair.
it?
I
Talk
guess
to
we
me,
got to get
Goose.
into T. Higgins, right?
Sure.
So T. Higgins is the guy of this class. Now, I have seen some recent heating up about a possible tag or a
Yeah.
possible re-signing, which is seem like if you if we had done this 2 weeks ago, it would have seemed like crystal clear that he was definitely gone. So
Oh yeah,
I'm
sure.
keeping an eye on that. But what I'm also seeing is that the Patriots want this man bad,
Oh fuck.
which does make sense. They have a clear need at the number one wide receiver spot. They are have a rookie quarterback, so and they have a shit ton of money to spend. And it seems like T. Higgins is going to get in the $30 million range, which I know there's like a lot of Green Bay fans that want T. Higgins. That's it's just not happening. The Packers, I don't
What?
think, are going to pay that much money to get a wide receiver in. They're going to
There's no
probably
need.
sign. Well, I do think the Packers are a dark horse candidate to get one of these wide receivers. With Christian Watson tearing his ACL right before the playoffs, we don't know when he's going to come back. Him and Romeo Dobbs being on a contract here, at the very least, the Packers are drafting a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds. I think you can book that now.
Huh.
Um, Unless they sign somebody and then maybe that'll kind of throw off what they want to do. But I just don't think it's going to be T. Higgins. I don't think they're going to go out and spend $30 million to get T. Higgins. But the only other name or team I would throw out as another like real dark horse candidate, why not pair him with Marvin Harrison Jr. and give Kyler two guys to kind of actually throw the ball to outside of Trey
Yeah,
McBride?
I stared at that team for a long time, thinking that Michael Wilson wasn't the answer as a number two.
Hmm.
Oof, I like it. I like it. I think that he gets tagged. I feel like,
You think he stays?
oh yeah. I mean, yeah, that's my thought. Like, it would be foolish. I mean, I get it. They're gonna end up with $80 million a year in the wide receiver room pretty quick
Hmm.
if they do that. But I don't know. It feels crazy not to. Feels crazy not to. What about the Ravens, dude?
Hmm.
I was just saying, okay, obviously it's the last year for Rashad. If
Uh-huh.
well, I guess he's got the 5th year option possible. But Zay's doing good, but with I don't know, with Lamar's increased passing efficiency and his skills in that department, I feel like they need a larger person that can really
Kind
just
of
get the
take
job
advantage of
done.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
man, like that's the it factor, man. That's the extra the extra step to pretty much seal the deal, right? I mean, that's bulletproof
I
if
could
they
say,
can get Henry back.
I mean, maybe I'd have to check their cap situation. That's the only thing with them.
No, dude, it's too early in the off season to say realistic stuff like check the cap.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But I mean, that would be spicy. Like you're saying, with Lamar's step up in passing that he took this year, it's hard to. I mean, but Rashad Bateman also came alive towards the
Oh
end, so
yeah.
maybe they just want to see how that goes and they pick up that 5th year. But I mean, that's a spicy landing spot. It'd be crazy seeing the Bengals twice a year too.
Yeah.
Um,
No, that would be wild. Um, okay, well, you turned this into something amazing, so thank you for that.
oh, well, thanks. But in case these teams decide not to spend money and want to build through the draft, maybe we should get into some of these rookie profiles that we want to talk about. So I want to go ahead and talk about a guy, the no, the other guy who we already covered, one Maryland Terrapin. And I'm gonna get into the other one, Kaden Prather, listed at 6'2", 210. Only 620 yards this year and 4 touchdowns. But he's got some cool pieces to his game to build around. He's got a cool stutter step. I think he fakes people out really well because he is an aggressive runner. And it makes everything he does seem like, oh, he's actually going for this stuff. Like I watched the UFC game, and he used this like false step, and then like go kind of thing, like a stutter go that got him really like wide ass open. There unfortunately there was no pass, because the quarterback got sacked or at least hurried or whatever. But he was wide open, which was pretty cool to watch. And then he also did like a false block where he like kind of walked up to the guy like he was going to be blocking and then just kind of went around him to the outside. Again, didn't end up getting the catch because I felt like the pass was a little late. He kind of caught it diving out of bounds and then got hit and dropped the ball. But like those types of things in his game, I do think he can build around. And with the size that he has, like a bit bulkier, fairly tall. I mean, we'll see what he actually weighs in at the combine and whatever. But I think he has a really good ability to adjust to the ball and kind of make plays on the ball. And like I said, I like his aggressive running style and his ability to like be creative with what he's doing. Um, Also, in 2023, he had 666 yards. So you know that any of the Christians competing in your league won't want him because he's the devil. So that's nice. You know, that eliminating some of the potential people going after him. So, you know, there you go. But there are some negatives to him.
Uh,
Um,
that
he, o-
was the negative, right?
I mean, that depends on your personal preference and belief styles, I guess.
Good Lord.
But he only had one game over 100 yards. And it would be okay if like he was getting a lot of 80s, a lot of 90s or whatever, but he had 6 games under 50 yards. So there's some consistency issues there. And maybe that was just the Terrapins offense, you know. But I just that worries me, you know, at a smaller school and you're not really producing consistently. That's not amazing. I don't think his top speed is great. I do think he has decent burst and like acceleration, but I just don't think he has like the top speed to really take the top off a defense. And as much as I like the like subtlety to his game, he still seems kind of raw. Seems like he needs to kind of work through a few areas, maybe like some of the route running type stuff um could maybe be like cleaned up a little bit. And then the yak, yards after the catch is definitely nothing to write home about. He is sitting at 202 or 212, sorry, uh yards through after the catch. Which I mean, in comparison to how many yards he got, 620 isn't actually that bad. It's like 3.8 per reception, but it's still just not what you really want to see. And so there's some issues here. I think he's profiles as more of a two, and maybe early on he's more of a three. But I do like him. I think he's got some potential, and I'll be intrigued to see where he goes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all right. Okay. Yes, he definitely has some good stuff going on.
Uh-oh.
Um, I don't know. All right. I watched a lot of this guy because I didn't know what to think on
Hmm.
him. So I think he's got some good ball skills, you know, some solid hands and some good energy, and the technique exists, and he does a few things well. Like I don't know, I don't know. A few of the things that I didn't like about him though was the way he ran his routes,
Mm.
and you can tell me if I'm crazy, but a lot of it seemed like disconnected, almost like he was doing like a drill in succession with another drill. Like he would do,
Hmm.
this is the first step. And then there was a slight transition
Gotcha.
into the second.
I
It
could see
didn't
that.
feel like very smooth or natural some of the times, the way it developed. But I don't know. He didn't consistently get open.
Hmm.
It's kind of rough, and like you're saying with the yards after the catch and the low missed tackles forced, he had a lower yards per reception than his A dot, which I thought was kind of a red flag. And his
Yeah.
longest play of the year was only 33 yards.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Um,
not great.
yeah, but I still thought it was good. Like squirrely, but like the squirrely nature, like the things you normally see with squirrely are yards after the catch, you know, and longer break off runs and some missed tackles in there. But I just couldn't figure it out what I really truly felt about him because I watched some game films, like full game films, and I was like, ugh, it's kind of iffy. But then you watch the highlights and it's like he's got a ton of you know, really nice catches,
Mm.
really and some good like broken play insurance, kind of helping the quarterback out just by like staying active down like later into the play. So I like that. I really question the size.
Mm.
Um, Pretty much all four of the guys we're looking at tonight are the similar size.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
he seemed like kind of like the guy that did not look like he was 6'3", 210 or
Gotcha.
whatever.
Yeah.
But not that that's anything against him,
Hmm.
but I just really I watched a ton of this guy just because I couldn't quite figure it out. It's like one play he's the man, and the next play it's like I don't know what he's doing right now, you
Yeah.
know?
That inconsistency was maddening for
Yeah.
watching him for sure.
But I like it, and I like to see yeah what ends up happening with the old Caden Prather. Caden Prather, hell of a name. But I mean, you're not the only guy with some question marks on their scouted dudes this week. I've got one here, Nick Nash.
Mm.
Yeah, interesting fella. Played at Juan State, San Jose State. Sorry, everybody. And he is 6'3", 195. Um, so a couple of things you should know about this guy. He's not your typical prospect.
Mm.
First of all, he played quarterback for 3 years with the same team, didn't ever transfer anything. And then he played 3 years as a wide receiver. So now he's 25 years old,
Mhm.
which is brutal. Like you can't be 25 years old going into the NFL draft. As far as RDR metrics are concerned, that's a pretty big red flag. But he did have some interesting things about him. He lived in the slot. It was like 93%
Mhm.
of his snaps were in the slot, which is was kind of crazy. Um, and I do think that there is still some development going on from the position change. There were just kind of a couple of moments that stood out. But I do like his style quite a bit. He's got a good launch when he's running a deep route, but he also has like a nice paced approach to underneath routes. And he generally, his routes, he runs them in a way to kind of like position himself for a nice clean catch, either by like slowing up or turning in or out for an easy grab. So I thought it was cool. Like you'd think like a lot of guys would do this, but he timed a catch really well to where like he could cut in, cut out, and just be like right there. And I don't know if that was, just from playing quarterback when he knew, when a play was developing and right when to break open. Um, but yeah, but other times he definitely seemed a bit lost out there. And I think he counts on his size a little too much.
Mhm.
Like he was definitely had some of the better jump balls I've seen in the class so far. And he's got some good hands. Um, but yeah, he kind of leaned into it a little bit too much, but he was getting absolutely buried in targets this year. I mean, he had for himself 171 targets, which
Good
is
Lord.
outrageous.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it went well. It was just under 1,400 yards and 16 touchdowns. PFF's got him pretty highly graded as a pass catcher, and he did pretty well on some of the metrics that we've kind of love to highlight. He had 29 missed tackles forced, which is kind of a huge number, but it goes on pretty well with that target volume, right? So more catches, more opportunities to force missed tackles. But with the 2.7 yards per route run, with that many routes being ran and that many targets, he was just a consistent producer, pretty much a constant target in this offense, which is a pretty big jump from his junior year, his 5th year in college, whatever you want to call that, where he only had like 50 catches for 700 yards, but still had 8 touchdowns. So he's got that big game when it comes to like jump balls and end zone catches that
Mhm.
are really nice. Um, And he does add in like optional speed to get open deep. Um, and generally, I guess he just shows some pretty solid potential. It's just kind of too bad that he didn't start off as a pass catcher.
Yeah.
Because he's pretty smooth in the open field. He's not like super fast, but he's got like some decent escape escaping techniques, just kind of
Yeah.
like some sliding moves to get away
hmm
from tacklers. So I don't know. What do you what do you think about this
I
25-year-old gentleman?
I actually liked him. I mean, 25 is a big red flag. You're right. I mean, I spent all year ripping apart Devon Villay for being 27, and I mean, I don't even know when Nick
You
Nash
did
is
do
gonna
that.
when Nick Nash is gonna turn 26. So, that is pretty scary. But I mean, the production is cool, and you speak to him being able to make some moves. He had 29 missed tackles forced, which was tied for second in this draft class and actually second for all of college at the wide receiver position. I think he has really nice leaping ability. I was watching the Washington State game and he had a really, really beautiful like leaping touchdown grab. And I'll be interested to see like what his arms measure in at because I think like he's not the fastest guy, but his size and speed combination is pretty nice. And if he has like it seems like he has pretty long arms with that leaping ability. And he's a hands catcher. I feel like he goes
Yeah.
and attacks the ball, which is really good. So I do think he has some potential there. To really be a guy that can do stuff for you. But again, it's the competition and stuff that
Mm.
worries me. I mean, you're San Jose State, you're not playing a lot of people, and you look fast, but not like crazy fast. So there's already some red flags there. Um, and I do think he has some stuff to work on, and that makes sense that he has only been a wide receiver for a couple years. But I
Three.
liked what I saw. Oh yeah, I mean 3 years, but
Yeah.
I liked what I saw out of him. I'm just going to be really intrigued at his like combine metrics and everything. But he's a guy that I would like to keep an eye on and maybe take a stab on later in rookie drafts, like some of your 4 and 5 round drafts or whatever, depending on where he goes.
Yeah, I do think people are pretty hyped on him. If you take the tight ends out of the consideration, he definitely had the most touchdowns, catches, and yards
Yeah,
out of
which is
all wide
huge.
receivers.
Yeah, I mean, even being at a small school, it's still crazy that you're the guy that did that. So,
It's a big year for the Mountain West
yeah, it
in the
is.
wide receiver game, apparently.
Pretty fun. Well, I will throw out another fairly small school, less small schools than San Jose State, but still not one of the schools you usually see throwing out NFL guys every now and then, obviously. But I'm gonna go with Roc Taylor for the Tigers of Memphis. Like you said, a lot of these guys are around the same size. He's 6'3", listed at 215. I could see him weighing in a little less than that, but he does have obviously really good size, and I think he has great physicality, which led to 954 yards and 2 touchdowns. Um, it would what is really fun to watch with him is those contested catches. I think he's great at making those. Similar to Nick Nash, he's got strong hands and he's a hands catcher. In 2024, he had a 60% contested catch rate, and in 2023, he actually had a 71% contested catch rate, and it was on 21 attempts in 2023 and 30 attempts in 2024. So it's not like these small numbers where you're jacking up that percentage. I think he has really good concentration. Um, and he's got interesting routes and footwork. I wouldn't necessarily call him like the greatest route runner ever, but like against UNCC, he had one of these like hard step to the inside, like he's going on the slant, and then headed to the back of the end zone. And I think he was the first read on that play, and he was going to be wide open. But the QB got sacked, unfortunately. And then I counted 2 different times where he was just streaming across the field wide open and got overthrown by the quarterback. And so like that I just felt like he was pretty decent at getting open. But then like double covered against Navy, he reaches up and just snags a touchdown away from these guys. Which is awesome to see out of double coverage. And then North Texas, he had this play where he got stood up at the 4, but he still managed to like push his way through 3 or 4 guys into the end zone and score. which is just really fun to me to watch. But as you can already tell, based on who I threw out as the three games that he played, the competition is a little lacking. UNCC, Navy, and North Texas aren't teams that really strike fear into the heart. And he's not a field stretcher. His speed and explosion, I don't think, is there. But in terms of like size and ability to get open and then like the concentration to make the catch, I was really intrigued by this guy. I think this is a guy, I think an NFL team is gonna be really into Roc Taylor. And I really think somebody's gonna snag him in like the third or fourth round. And depending on said team, it's a guy I could see myself interested in. I think he might take a year or two to really get going, just because I think he needs to, like, he has interesting footwork, he has good skills, but I think he needs to really round that out to be super effective. And I'm not, this is not a comparison. This is not, I don't think they're the same player, but a similar career arc, at least at the beginning, and maybe not to the production level, but like how Devonte Adams needed a couple years because he was not the fastest, most explosive guy, and he had great route running, but he just needed that a couple years to really to develop into like this premier route runner that could use his size and ability to attack the ball against everybody. Not saying that Roc Taylor is going to even touch what Devonte Adams did in the NFL, but just in that same like vein where he has a skill set in where if it was developed to the nth potential, that it could really work out for him. Because I do think he has a skill set that can work in the NFL, along with a size and frame that can work. It's just that he's not going to be this guy that blows the tops off defenses or anything like that, but the ability to be open, catch the ball, and fight for the ball when he needs to, I think he has, and which has me intrigued about him.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, I don't know. I'm just reading my notes, but similar to what you're saying, I think that he's a guy that will earn an opportunity and creep into some NFL viability. So I'm on the same page with you there. I thought he was a really like powerful
Mm-hmm.
player,
Mm-hmm.
really good blocker. Um, he had some good
Yeah.
abilities. A lot of his stuff, like he didn't really necessarily jump off the screen for me.
Mm-hmm.
I got weird vibes. I was like, at one point, I was like, am I watching Xavier Leggett film right now?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because it was like you could tell that he had a lot of ability, but it just wasn't all coming together perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that like the elements of his game, and then you kind of went through it, but I thought like he was shifty after the catch,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of like a squirrely, smaller type guy would be. That kind of shiftiness, which I don't think is refined. I think it's there, like the willingness and the instincts are there, but the effectiveness isn't there. 2.9 yards after the reception, kind of really not blowing you away. Six missed tackles forced, so it needs some work there, but his heart was in it.
Mm-hmm.
But then like at the catch, he was big, like he was huge. He was 6'3", 215 at the catch point, using that size, which was really nice. But then like he was also extremely athletic. He showed a
Uh-huh.
lot of athleticism in his route running. So you could see like different elements of a good receiver in his game. I just don't think it's gelled yet. And I do
Mm-hmm.
think, like you're saying, after a year or two, or like the right spot, the right development, I do think he's got a lot of potential. He's definitely a guy that I'm keeping an eye on
For
for sure.
sure. Big
So
time. Yeah.
feels like we're pretty close on this one. So
Yeah.
I
Hey.
like that.
We need
I'll take
AJ to
it.
round us out, apparently.
I know. Yeah, here, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I wonder what would AJ say about Rock
This
Taylor,
guy
but
fucking sucks.
like I don't know. He'd say two first names, man. I'm out, but I never know. But I guess I'll get into my last guy.
Yeah.
It's Pat Bryant out of Illinois. And I'm not gonna lie, this guy was I was juiced, pretty good, pretty
Okay.
happy about it. He's 6'2", 208. He's coming off of just an okay year, 984 yards, 10 touchdowns, and then the junior year was 560 yards, 7 touchdowns. So not the biggest production profile. Um, but I did think that he had a lot of good to offer, and like kind of coming through the stats, a lot of things jumped out. Like the contested catch rate, 69% is pretty good, even though it was
Hmm.
only 9 catches. You could see on the field, like he was definitely pulling down, a majority of those 50-50 balls. And he only had a single drop throughout the year, which gave him a drop rate of 1.8%. So I like that. And he just seemed like those things added up to increase like his reliability factor. Like he just looked like a reliable guy. Um, he's always taking the hands to the ball, right?
Hmm.
Catching outside of his frame. And the reason that really stood out to me is because it was like his lower body never adjusted to a catch. So like he could catch outside of his frame and keep the momentum going and really kind of use his size as an advantage because he wasn't really adjusting his running for the catching. So I thought that was pretty impressive. Um, but he was also great at like slowing and tracking the ball to come down with it. And this all adds up to, high catch rate and contested balls and low drop rates, right? Like he was really good at tracking the ball and he brought it in. But then he could still cut away from defenders pretty well. He had good acceleration. I'm going to tell you for sure he's not like a top end speed guy.
Hmm.
That's not really his game, but he still moved well in the open field, and he got a little feisty with it. And I thought he was pretty well rounded wide receiver. The routes are good, I think, considering his size. The thing I liked about him is they were like kind of textbook patterns, like really heads up plays. So he just knew what he was doing and he was really consistent in the way he ran his routes. And I don't think you see that enough at the college level. Guys like they kind of wing it a lot or they like play by feel. He was really good at just like hitting his marks and so that was good, the discipline that comes with that. Um, but he could really just turn it on, like the intensity he had with the ball in his hands, and when he knew that it was a pass play, he just had like this extra level that it was really, the man on the field. But to counter that, when the ball wasn't coming to him or as a run play, it was like some of the worst blocking I've seen
Mm.
in a while. And it's like it's pretty bad. Like if you're having a bad day and you need a hug, just line up across this from this guy on a run play, and he'll just give you one of these, and that's that. But he just flips the switch. Like when it's time to go, it's time to go. So it was pretty good with the yards after the catch. He was very solid. It was 6.9. That's a hell of a number. 14
Mhm.
missed tackles forced. That's about twice of the kind of some of the other guys we've been talking about, not Nick Nash. But he's on a similar workload, with only 54 catches as Kaden and Roc. So he's definitely kind of leveling up. I think it's just got a high potential. I'm very intrigued. Like the highlight reels for me, for him were like outrageous, and then the regular game film was still very solid
Mhm.
when he was involved. So I don't know.
Yeah. I have to admit this was the guy I had the time to watch the least. But I liked some of what was going on and what I saw. I think he's strong after the catch, like you're saying, and an aggressive player, apparently when he wants to be. I
Mhm.
actually saw him absolutely demolish a defender on an outside like wide receiver screen, which I was impressed by, but I only watched like one game. So I'll defer to you there. But
It was
I
yeah, it was a mixed bag, but I saw some hugs.
okay, gotcha. Against Purdue, I watched him like just truck over like two or three defenders over the middle at one point with the ball in his hands, which I was, that juiced me up quite a bit. And with that size and production, I think, yeah, he's an intriguing player. And I think I'm excited to dig into him a little more.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that I'm heating up on. I think like the whole NFL is gonna probably be getting a little hot for him if it
Okay.
comes down. I think
Well,
I'm just saying, man. I know I get a little I pick my favorites early, but he was just really
this is one of them,
consistent
huh?
throughout the year.
Okay.
So I
Well,
like him. I want to say he was 16th wide receiver on PFF's big board. Nick Nash is 19th.
mm,
Um, Kaden Prather is 21st, and Roc Taylor is 41st. So I don't know
wow.
if you agree with those
I
uh,
don't. That seems
placements, but
very low for Roc Taylor. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe
I'd
maybe I
take
just like
Rock
him.
over Caden personally
Yeah,
every
I would
day.
too. So
So we'll see how it shakes
interesting.
out. But I thought it was fun, man. All these guys are like right there, 6'2", 6'3",
Yeah.
200 to 215. So it was cool to see the differences in their styles for the same sizes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This was an intriguing couple watches. So man, we're right in the thick of it. So join us next week when we hit you with the running backs and the
Yeah.
running back preview of free agency. So, but until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Smoke them if you got them.
I took a lease